I'll just be honest, I hate that whole outside, like, I hired you, Craig Breslow. You audit the damn operation. That's why I'm paying you a lot of money. Why?
Oh, hiring the Bobs to come in and audit the department, the DOBE, Department of Baseball Efficiency. Get out of here with that.
No, you know what this reminds me of? And it's a poor reference at this time in the calendar. But in Elf, when they need a new book, and the two lead writers are like, hey, why don't we hire that guy? He writes really good kids' books. And they're like, genius. It's like, no. You're the writers for a book company. If you can't write books, I need to get good new writers for the book company. But Craig Breslow hired this whole sportsology audit, and they got rid of about 10% of the front office. It doesn't sound like
about 50 people. I think,
yeah,
total.
it doesn't sound like it.
Hold on, that's all. Like, first of all, what kind of Fenway fat are they carrying over there at the sports group? The fact that that's a lot of freaking people. I mean,
they were bloated. They were definitely bloated, and I think some of
your
that
scouting department be bigger than that, Andy. Sorry to interrupt, but shouldn't you have people on the road looking for the next talent, not a bunch of quants, as you like to call them, sitting there going, all right, here.
Road. Are you telling me you need to see a baseball player to know whether he's good? I just look at a computer screen and a bunch of numbers, and they tell me whether he's good or not. I don't
make baseball profitable again.
But they were bloated. There was even a reference. I didn't know this, that some of the place was so bloated they couldn't all fit in the same building. There was like a bullpen, they called it, like an offshoot office where some of the overflow workers were. So there was obviously a disconnect there if you're not all in the same office.
So they put the baseball guys in one office and the nerds in the other?
Probably.
What could go? Where did Craig Breslow sit then?
He's in the nerds office.
Oh,
and his hot office. Am I supposed to believe this? That the general manager of the Boston Red Sox can't turn the heat down in his office. He doesn't have AC. Am I really supposed to believe that? It makes for a nice tale to lead a story in the Boston Globe, a nice feature story. Are you telling me Craig Breslow does not have air conditioning?
I mean, it's believable. His server could overheat very easily in that.
That's
room.
a very good point. The server farm does use up a lot of electricity, Dan, and it does get pretty damn hot in there. I want to go back to what you said earlier about his inapproachability and why people don't like or can't access him, Andy, and relate to him one-on-one on a human level. I don't think anybody's looking for, Sterling, Cooper, Draper, Price, where you can just waltz into your boss's office and bury a 130, 4-ounce glass of scotch and make a couple of crude remarks about the secretary pool and how things are going in New York City and Madison Avenue. We're not looking for that level of conviviality and conversation. But he needs to sort of he needs to point the finger backwards or look in the mirror. He needs to be introspective about this and ask himself, or maybe hire a department of personality analysis and have someone come in and say, Craig, this is something about you that makes you inaccessible to people. There's a reason why people have a hard time communicating with you because, well, you just don't seem real. Like everything seems quantitative with you. We need a human touch, and that's carrying over to your baseball team as well, which is managed by numbers. And now you got a manager on the field who manages by feel. So when the numbers go awry, he finds himself getting tossed from games half the time.
So Craig Breslow, clearly, I would say we're painting a picture that his personality isn't outgoing. He's not. I don't like people. I don't like to interact with people. I don't like to meet new people. That's fine.
You're not for everyone. Did you see your shirt yesterday?
I am not for everyone, but I also think you need to know the role you're in and figure out how to make it work. I would also say he just needs to win because Bill Belichick wasn't a people person. People didn't want to necessarily hang out with Bill Belichick. They didn't want to stop by his office to sit down and be like, hey, coach, how many times do you think assistants did that? Walked into Bill's office, just sat down to chat with Bill Belichick.
I imagine if it did happen, it didn't last very long.
I'm going to say never.
Okay.
I'm going to say, and maybe once, because the first person did it and all the other assistants saw how it went and said, that's a mistake I won't be making, just showing up unasked at Bill Belichick's office.
And Andy, the Patriots were famously filled with people that were probably inapproachable. I mean, I've had some very pleasant conversations with Ernie Adams, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's the first person that I would, do a podcast with or have lead a symposium.
And you know who people love? Bill Belichick and Ernie Adams. You know why? They won.
They won.
Success. And that is the lesson I would put here first and foremost to Craig Breslow, who didn't care for he calls himself a systems builder. What the holy F does that mean? And don't say it. You might think it. You may believe it. And it may be a good thing in your mind. Don't say it. You work in professional sports.
If you weren't moving around already so much in the studio, I'd tell you to take a lap just for saying that. Holy criminy.
Systems builder. Get the hell out of here with that crap.
It's supposed to be a nation builder, not a system builder.
the lesson. Oh, how about a bridge builder? How about you build bridges and connect people, knock down silos. Even that sounded better. Even have a North Star if you freaking want. But don't tell me you're a systems builder, because you know what system you need to build? A team of human beings. This is not a system. This is a team of human beings. And that's the disconnect that I think he has to struggle with most, the alignment. I think Alex Cora is a people person, and I think Craig Breslow is a systems builder. And I think those two butt heads sometimes. But my biggest issue, Fitzy, with this story, there was a quote from Craig Breslow that I thought was really interesting on multiple levels. You know how we sometimes play audio and stop and start? I'm going to do that with a red quote right here because I want to analyze it word for word, Fitzy. So Craig Breslow says, I have this job because ownership decided that some change was necessary. There's some truth to that, Fitzy. You also have this job because no one else wanted it. Because 752 people said no. Men, women, 12, children,
but yeah,
whatever,
okay.
Close enough.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah.
It's exaggeration. It's radio.
Sure.
It's Friday. I got a lot of energy for some reason. Then the second part of it, and I think that the change goes beyond just me. If we're going to continue to do things the way we had always done them, then I think we're just signing up to be a roughly 500 team. That's not good enough. Wait a minute. Always done them.
Pause.
Always
done
them for how long?
500 team right now.
Well, you're a sub 500 team right now, but how long are we looking back? Because I look back at the totality of it, which was a lot of these people you canned because Sportsology told you to can them had been here for, as LeBron might put it, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 World Series championships in the last 20 plus years.
How long's your manager been here?
Trick question? I don't know.
7.
8?
For a while.
Okay.
For
right.
longer than
he
Craig
took-
Breslow.
He took a mercy year off, and that's when Uncle Ron came in.
Yeah, that didn't go well for him. But so he is looking at the big picture as the negatives of the last 4 or 5 years. He's not looking at those people that were in that building, those 300 some odd people who had built something that had never been seen by living human beings in the city of Boston. World Series teams, elite teams, rosters that, unlike this one, were littered top to bottom with talent. Fitzy, you know I love to say it, Little League Billy Miller won a batting title as the 9-hitter. The 9-hitter won a batting title for the Boston Red Sox? They'd be lucky now if the 2-hitter is a major leaguer on any given night. And they had a 9-hitter win him. So this idea that
I'd take Mark Bellhorn's ghost over David Hamilton 9 days out of the week.
So that quote really rankled me because he makes it sound like he took over some team that had gone 25 years without a playoff appearance, had never won
like
any.
the White Sox or this year's Rockies.
Yes. You took over a team that's been in down times over the last few years, but is still, in sort of comparisons purposes, a pretty recent champion. And also, I would just say, didn't they go to the ALCS 3 seasons ago? 3+ seasons ago, whatever it would be?
3.5 years ago, yeah. And they were one bad strike call against Nate Eovaldi away from actually maybe almost even sneaking out of that series.
So he I think, exaggerates the problem. And you know why I think he does that? Because that's old school. That was all old school. That's not his way. That's not his system that he wants to build. So he looks at this new one and I need to make it look bad so I can tear it down to the studs. This house was pretty structurally sound and actually looked pretty good before you started tearing it down.
That said, I also think that's
the quant needs to stick up for his boy.
No, I think that's a commentary. I think that's a financial commentary more than anything else. We're spending too much money. We have too many people. We're not efficient or streamlined enough, and that's what they're bringing me in to do. They're bringing me in to cut money and cut payroll and do things in a more cost-effective way while still bringing in wins.
When they were inefficient under Dombrowski, right?
Yes.
Because they inefficiently had to spend money on World Series rings and parades. That was a kick in the stones, Fitzy. When they had to spend that money over budget to give out rings and have parades with duck boats, that was a real pain in the ass.
Oh, man, all that extra money that they had to pay out when they got into baseball's second apron. Oh, wait, it doesn't exist.
Well, then what happens when you don't win is kind of my post-2021 point.
You spend money and win. It's baseball. And that's how he actually turned it around. That's the thing that bothers
Mac
me
Jones
a little bit.
And you go to the playoffs and you get your balls handed to you.
So in consecutive days, he's told us he's a systems builder, and his system sucks. Because his system, literally and figuratively, the minor league system, is producing baseball players who don't know how to play defense and who don't know how to run the bases. And you know what his solution this offseason was? $15 million a year to Aroldis Chapman, a gazillion dollars to Garrett Crochet, a gazillion dollars on an average annual basis to Bregman.
Alex Bregman.
Did we need Craig Breslow, the systems builder, to do that? Or could any of us have done that? Hey, John Henry, is it okay if I give Bregman 3 years, $120 million? Oh, it is?
Oh.
Cool.
Andy,
Like,
can
I
I
don't need
also
a
point
computer.
out real quick when we talk about, and really just to ride yes and on what you were just saying. So there's these 2 baseball players that joined the team this year. We were all super excited to see it. Well, 3 really, but 2 most especially. That third one you wanted traded away, and that went over well with Sox fans earlier this week on the show. These 2 other players, Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer, I think their nicknames are. Definitely nailed the pronunciations. You know what Craig Breslow had to do with both of those guys? Nothing. That's right. The previous general manager / chief baseball nerd drafted those guys. Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer are Chaim Bloom draft picks. So I'm really waiting for the Breslow, what would you say you do around here moment.
Craig Breslow. Boston Globe is looking at him, looking at himself in the mirror, talking about his systems and his turnover and all that. He's talking about a bad minor league system. A lot of people around here are criticizing Alex Cora, blaming him for the success of the Boston Red Sox. What do you think about Craig Breslow and the job he's done in a little under 2 years running the Boston Red Sox?